Ready?
Go.
Thank you. Hi everybody. Today we're going to be prepping ribs to go into a brine. When you do your ribs, there's a silver skin on the back of your ribs that need to come off. Otherwise, you're only going to have half your ribs that have the flavor in it. When you buy a pack of ribs like this, you usually get 2 pieces. Sometimes you'll get 3. But you'll get your rack of ribs, and then you'll get your rib ends. Your rib ends are a little bit harder to prep, but once they're done, they can go into the brine, and there's enough ribs for everybody. So what you do, take a nice sharp knife, as long as you don't cut yourself. Just get it underneath the very edge of the silver skin on the one corner until you got it lifted. Some people need a pair of pliers to do this, to pull it. Other people can just grab it. There's usually a small piece of bone somewhere along here, which makes like a good little handle. And then the bone comes out. But you just grab it. You can force your finger underneath it to get it started, and then you just pull. Now you might leave a little bit of it along the edge, which you can trim off later, because you have to finish prepping your ribs anyways. So you just grab it, you pull. Now your ribs will have this little flap here. Hopefully when you're pulling it, it will pull it all off. If not, you can always trim this little flap off. If you've got them fresh, not frozen, then you can always freeze it, and you can use it in stews or whatever else. So again, just pull it, and you should be able to get that off. That will stop your flavor from going into the backside of your ribs. Now don't get frustrated. It could come off in little pieces, like it's doing for me right now. And I am at the end of it, so it's going to be a pain. There we go. Now as for this little flap, because if you can see it, you've got silver skin on here as well. Me, I like to trim it off, make it look really nice. So you just run your knife along it until it comes free. Now, I don't know if you realize it, but this is actually the meat they use in your spare ribs. There's small bones in it, so you can use it for that, or you like I do, I throw it in with the brine and I do it that way. So here's the back side of your ribs with 90% of the silver skin off of it. It'll have a dull white color to it. The silver skin here makes it shiny. So you want to get all that off. And you want to trim up some of the fat. As you're trimming up the fat, a lot of the silver skin will come with it because it's over top of the fat. Fat is good, but when you're cooking them on the barbecue, it'll flare up too much. And there's the backside done. And this is what it looks like. Now you're going to have a tail on it where there's no bones. Doesn't matter. It just makes it even better. More meat. You flip it around, and now you want to trim up some of the fat on the front. You've got a hard piece of cartilage here that you want to get out, and then that's ready to go in. So the hard piece of cartilage you just take and you run your knife along it. It only goes in maybe 1/4 of an inch. When you get it out, that end is done. but it is connected to the rest of the bones, so you will have to get it out. See? There's a joint right there. Easy enough. So now you just take and you want to trim up some of this fat here. Just gently run your blade across it. Lift it. And as your blade is going across, it'll take it right to the very edge of the meat and leave you with a nice clean cut. Just like that. Now for your rib ends, you'll notice that there is a lot of fat on it. There's also silver skin on the back, but I'll take care of that later now that you know how to do it. Let me put my extra set of eyes on. So we're going to trim up some of this fat here. Again, just gently let your knife do the work. You might see that you're pulling up a little bit of the pink meat, but between the fat, the meat, there's a layer of fat, meat, and then fat. Don't worry about it. You're not losing, you'll lose less than a mouthful of fat, or less than a mouthful of meat. By the time you're done, these will be able to go into your brine. Now, when I do my brine, when I put them in brine, I like to let them sit for at least 24 to 48 hours. I know that's a long time for prepping in your fridge. Takes up a lot of room, but it'll make them so nice and juicy and tender and fall off the bone. Now you don't want to take all the fat off. You want to leave some. So I'm leaving just a thin layer, just so when they're on the barbecue they do not dry out. Now I'm going to be cheating a little. I'm going to be putting these into a smoker before I put them on the barbecue. So they're going to cook in the smoker for about 4 hours. And then they're going to go on the barbecue to finish with the homemade barbecue sauce, which I will be showing you how to make a homemade barbecue sauce in another video. So don't worry about that. You will get to know how to make it. Now if you see here, there's a thin line of silver skin right here at this one end. You want to get under it. You're not going to be able to pull it because it goes right down to the bone. So you want to trim as much of it as you can on this end. And then just run your knife across and pull it out. You're not going to be able to get all of it off, but you should be able to get most of it. Again, just like that. There's always going to be a little bit of silver skin, no matter what you do. It's almost impossible to get it all off. I know some people will say, oh no, it's easy, it's easy. But when you look at their meat, you'll see little pieces of silver skin left behind. Like this right here. This you want to get rid of. There's a thin line of silver skin right here along the edge of the meat. There you go. Now you're ready to flip it over and do the back. See, there's a lot of fat on the back here. Most of the times you can just grab it and pull it, and the silver skin comes with it for these sections. Now you might also notice you get little tines of ligament that come out from between the bones, like that. If you can pull them out, pull them out. If you can't, don't worry about it. They will tenderize with the brine. you could be sitting there for hours trying to pull them out, and then you're just not happy with eating your ribs because you know how much work it actually took. And you're going to sit there and think nobody's going to appreciate it. Alrighty. So I've got the edge lifted. I'm going to slide my finger in and lift. So I can get my finger in underneath. Set my knife down there. And you should be able to hear it pulling away. It's not the most pleasant of sounds, but it is something that needs to be done. Alright, enough used to. That's my crazy dogs being dogs. My little Shih Tzu likes to think she's a big bulldog.
Go.
Now you don't want to wreck your meats too much by pulling too much of it off, but you want enough that you're going to be able to get your brine underneath to tenderize it. This one here is going to be just a little bit tougher than what this piece is because of how much silver skin is on it. But like I said, if you can get a small strip going off all the way along, when it's sitting in the brine will soak in and go underneath. By the time you take it out of the brine, most of this silver skin will be lifted and you can just pull it right off. If you're lucky. Doesn't always work. But trim up the fat so that it doesn't explode on you when you're on the barbecue. And there's another nice piece of meat ready for the to go into the brine. Now I've only got 2 more of these to do, but I'm not going to bore you with it. This is Rusty, and I'll see you on the next video when I'm showing you how to prep your brine, and then after that it'll be putting them into the smoker. Thank you.